Hi everyone, welcome back again to another Flutter tutorial, and in this session we'll be dealing with the basics of Dart syntax, and more specifically we will be discussing about the argument passing types. Here in Dart we have two kinds of argument passing. You can pass in the arguments either using the positional parameter way or using parameter way, and in this video I'll be walking you through the basics of the syntax and the use cases where you can apply those both. Okay, so let's move on to the coding part to have a bit more detailed idea of how to implement these two parameter types in your Flutter app. Well, here I have a simple app bar, and let me have a text in the body, and I'll be just having a function that renders this text widget. The function name is build text widget. Okay, and let me just define the function here. Build text widget. The function will be taking, as I haven't passed any parameters for now, just let me leave that empty, and what it will be returning is a text widget, and the text is Flutter. Okay, right, you can see here that the text Flutter is being rendered here in the screen. I just want that to be at the center, so let me wrap that inside the center widget. Okay, so this is a simple function. So this arrow, just don't confuse, it's a fat arrow syntax I am using. Okay, so I am calling the build text widget function, and this function will be returning a text widget, which is a static word, which is Flutter. Okay, I just now want to render this text dynamically, and or else I just need to pass in the value in the function call itself. Okay, and for that, let me pass in that value, and the argument what I will be having is a string, my text. Okay, and just specify the text over here. So the end result is more or less the same, just change in the implementation alone. Okay, so this is the traditional method of passing the values in a function in that. So let me have another function or another parameter which is of type double. Okay, which is my font size. And say the style, text style, let me have the font size, and make use of the parameter my font size. Let me pass that over here as well. So I have two kinds of parameters. One is string and another is double. So I will be making use of those two inside the function call and inside the implementation as well. Okay. So this kind of argument passing is what we call as the positional arguments. And here in the positional argument will be having two major rules. One is the order, that is the order it must not change. If the first parameter what I am passing is a string, so the function definition has the first parameter string, and the function next parameter, that is the second parameter, is of type double. So I am passing the next parameter, that is the second argument, as a double value. If you just interchange those, then you might encounter with an error. So in case of positional arguments, the interchanging or the order must not be changed. Okay, that is one rule. And next rule what you need to know in case of positional argument is the parameter count. Here I have two parameters of type string and double, so you just need to mandatorily pass in the two values. You can't skip either of the values, or you can't leave any of the value as null. If you do so, then it shows the error. So the Dart requires you to pass both the arguments compulsorily. Okay, so these are the two basic rules in case of positional arguments. Okay, uh, so there might be a case where you just need to pass in one argument and make the other argument as optional. Okay, and if you want to make another argument as an optional, the only thing what you need to do is you can make use of the square bracket and set it as optional. Now you can just remove in the second parameter and you won't encounter any error. Okay, now the app is up and running without any error. So this square bracket is meant for saying that the second argument, that is my font size, is an optional. If you now pass in the value, then you see that 20 pixel font size changes to 20 pixels. Okay, this is one way of allowing optional parameters in positional arguments. Okay, now let us move on to the named arguments. So before that, let me just get rid of this positional and optional parameters. Okay, so to make any functional argument as a named arguments, the only thing what you need to do is to wrap this parameter inside the curly braces, and you need to pass in the name. Okay, so what is the advantage of having named arguments over positional arguments is that in named arguments you can interchange the order, right? If you just change the order, there is no error, you won't see any error. So this is one of the advantage of using named arguments. And the next thing is, in case of named arguments, every parameter is an optional one. You can, if you want, you can remove the font size. Okay, so let me remove that font size, and there won't be any error, since in case of named arguments every parameter is an optional one. Okay, and the next thing is the order can be changed, and in order to pass in any default values in case of named arguments, the only thing you need to do is just give it, assign it with a value. Okay, I am assigning the value as 20 as a default value, but I am passing the value as 50, so 50 gets rendered. If you just get rid of this, then you can see, as I'm not giving any font size, it takes the default value as 20 pixels. Okay, so this is the case in named arguments. If you want to make any argument as a mandatory or required one, just make use of the keyword required. Okay, and the next thing what I need to say is, we have just uh, discussed about the default values in case of named arguments, and let's move on to the default values of positional arguments. Okay, so for that, let me get rid of these curly braces. Right, okay, so this is the basic positional argument passing. Now I just want this font size as to be set as some default value. For that, what you need to do is just wrap it inside the square bracket and give it a value, and that's it. I can now remove the value. You can see the default font size is now 10 pixels. Can change it to 15, so that value is getting rendered. So passing the value as 25, then that 25 pixel will be taken, and that 25 pixel value is getting rendered over here. Okay, so this is all about the basics of positional and named arguments. You can also use both the things in any function call as well. So I will also give you a quick demo of how to make use of those both. Okay. get rid of this default value. Okay. um, First thing is, let me just set this my text as a positional argument and change this double font size as a named argument. Okay, as said before, as we discussed, we just need to wrap it inside the curly braces and passing the parameter name. Now the flutter, that is my text, is passed as a positional argument and the font size is being passed as the named argument. Okay, so we are actually using two kinds of argument passing inside the same function call, right? All right, this is all the basics of argument passings what we have in that. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you do so, kindly please do subscribe and I will see you in the next video. Bye.